Hey, welcome back to the show, guys. Today let's try and dial in Zakk Wylde's awesome guitar tone from No Rest of the Wicked using the Marshall DSL20H and a few basic stomps on the floor. So yeah, before we get too far into it, there's another video out there that captures Zakk Wylde's early guitar tones, and it's from Michael Nielsen, or Big Hairy Guitars, and he's got a whole studio and a whole arsenal of gear and all the correct gear that they actually used on that album, including the Yamaha SPX90 for that really lush chorus sound that you really can't get using these conventional pedals. But I thought I'd say that first, just for those that are absolute purists about this, but I'm just dealing with what we have, and this is what you get. And look, I'm pretty happy with that tone. It's just a very basic sort of tone. Yeah, and so you can see on the screenshot image there, it's just got the pedals in sequence that I'm using with the amp and the settings. And really, these are just guides for you just to see how it dials in with your own tone. And in the front end of all that, in the front end and effects loop, I'm running the Boss NST noise gate, as you can see there. I just don't show it in those pictures because I pretty much use that pedal in every single video, and there's no point. As long as you just know I've got that there, it doesn't really affect the tone, it's just a noise gate. So Zakk's used the JCM 800s forever, and I'm just trying to dial in a tone that's similar to his at the end, but at the start, these DSLs are quite different than the 800s. They've just got so much more gain on tap. They're like a modded 800, more or less. And so I'm working with the strength of the amp, and really if you try and wind back the gain and make it sound, get into that 800 territory, this amp tends to sound thin and weak. So I really just drive the gain at about 12 o'clock here and then use the pedals to work with that. So all the ambience that you can hear is coming through the amp itself, and I've got the reverb set within it. And it's a digital reverb, and it just does a fantastic job. I think it's much better than a Spring. It's my favorite reverb I've ever had in any amp. So there you go. And for capturing the recording today, I'm using an SM57 in front of the V30 in that Mezza 112 with the ISO cab over the top. And the guitar tracks we're recording today are just live, so please go easy on me. I've pre-recorded nothing. If you've been watching this channel a long time, you know I'm a fan of the Zakk Wylde Overdrive, the old ZW44, but just trying to recreate something a little bit closer to the original. We're pulling out the Boss Super Overdrive SD1. Even though they're both overdrives, they're extremely similar. They do have different tonal characteristics, and I find the Zakk Wylde one a little bit heavier. It's more sort of beefier on the mids, a harder hitting sort of pedal. But it doesn't mean the SD1 is no good, it just means it's suited for different tones. Like it's got more of like a thrashier bass to it, like it's more of a top end that's pretty articulate. It's still a good pedal. So we'll try and do a bit of comparison how they sculpt the tone here. And just starting with the Zakk Wylde Overdrive, keep in mind though the outputs and gains are in different positions, just where they sort of feel best for that pedal. So it's a hard comparison to do equally. And swapping over now to the SD1. Yeah, for pedals that are similar, they have a little bit different personalities, I suppose. The SD1, I think it lets the chorus shine through more, and it really allows the sound to have that more of that lush Yamaha SPX90 sort of tone, whereas the Zakk pedal, it is hard hitting and it's got a great sort of solo tone to it, but it tends to blanket a lot of those other tones as well. So in this case, for getting Zakk's tone in those early days, I really think the SD1 delivers it better. So going to the effects loop now, the first pedal you get to coming out of the amp is the MXR 10 band. And what I'm trying to do here is really just sculpt the low end, the beef sort of tone for Zakk. I'm not changing or drastically trying to change what the amp is doing. I'm just honing in to just give more of a rounded bottom end and just drawing out a few frequencies in that top end just to not make it scratchy. His tone is it's a very saturated sort of lower end drenched sort of tone. It's a weird tone. So moving down from the 10 band graphic EQ, the next thing in line that I run is the Black Label chorus. And this really just creates a huge, massive tone through it. And I can see why he runs the chorus, being the only guitar player in that band. Like, he's trying to make his guitar just sound huge, and it does give that sort of effect, but you really need that SPX90 with a symphonic setting. Michael Nielsen goes right into it and describes it better than I can. I've never used one. I've tried to get one, but they're just too rare. So this is about as close as I can get to with the Black Label chorus. It does a good job. I'm not a big fan of chorus in my rhythm guitars anyway. I like them to be a bit more focused, but for this, it sounds cool. And I think my favourite riff off that album is the Randy Rhoads inspired riff in Fire in the Sky just before the solo. I just think it's awesome. That's an absolute killer riff. I love it. But all that being said, guys, that's really all I've got to talk about with how to get his sound using this sort of gear today. And hope I could help in some way. And I'll see you next week. Cheers. Bye. Bye.